I'm here today with my friend Janine Fisher, who I've known for many years and who has what I think is a very inspiring story. First of all, Janine, thanks so much for being here and sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me, David. This is exciting.
It's my pleasure. So tell me a little bit about your life before.
I am a government employee. I'm a single mom of an 8-year-old child, a little boy. He is the light of my life. I had him on my own, which is kind of adding to my story. I have a very good life. Try to keep it as simple as possible.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So tell us about, tell me a little bit about the day that you found out that you were sick.
I had an appointment. Let's take a step back. 2
Sure.
weeks prior to the diagnosis, I noticed that there was something not right in my right breast. And
You did self-exams?
yes, I noticed that there was an indentation which looked unusual. And my family is cystic, so I just assumed that it was just a fibroid or a cyst, and I didn't think much of it.
But you knew what to look for.
I knew I had an idea what to look for. I knew what it felt like, but it's can be difficult to tell the difference between a cyst and a tumor. You don't know. This was different. Something that could be hard in your tissue, that would be more like a cancer than it would be just a cyst. What made it different for me was that I saw this indentation that didn't look right, and I sloughed it off that it was nothing, and then a week later it was bothering me, so I called up the radiologist, and they made an appointment for the next day, and I went in first for a mammography.
When was this?
This was August 27th.
Of 2012.
2012. I went in for a mammography, and they had me sit out in the waiting room, and then they did another mammography, and then they did a sonogram, and then they had me sitting out in the waiting room again, and I knew something wasn't right. And it was actually, I was there at least an hour, which is unusual. Usually not there that long.
And typically, you wouldn't usually hear from a radiologist anything.
Never.
It's just the length of time.
Yes.
Right? And then you'd have to wait for the results to go to your doctor, and your doctor would talk to you.
Exactly.
So is that what happened?
No. What happened was, at one point, the nurse came out and said that the radiologist wants to speak with you. And I knew right then and there that it was cancer. The radiologist did come out, and he told me that he tried very hard not to say that it was cancer because he's not supposed to.
Yeah.
But he wanted me to address it immediately because of the size of the tumor. He wound up having me get in touch with different surgeons right away. I immediately went to see my OBGYN that day. She looked at it.
What was your emotional reaction? Can you talk about when that radiologist is talking to you, what are you feeling?
I was devastated. I mean, the tears wouldn't stop. I went outside. That morning, my mother said, "Let me go with you to the radiologist." I said, No, it's just a cyst. Don't worry about it. You don't have to come. And my mother was going to work, and she had a gut feeling that she should have come with me. And I was like, no, I can handle it. And
was there breast cancer that you knew about in your family?
There's no breast cancer in my family. And that's one of the things that I learned, that it's like a popcorn thing. It doesn't have to be hereditary. And the majority of the cases that come up does not have a family history. They have a test called a BRCA test that can tell if it is in your history. If it is in the history, then there's a good chance that you can get breast cancer, but it doesn't really.
Right, you hear about people doing proactive surgeries.
Absolutely, that's from the BRCA test.
Okay. So let's go back to the how you felt.
Devastated. When the radiologist came out to tell me, I went out. I said I have to call my mother. I just didn't know what to do, so I went outside and I just said, "Mom, I have cancer." And she's like, I could hear the wheezing. Not that she was crying because she was staying strong for me, but the wheezing in her chest. It was
just gasping.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
And she's like, "I'll be right there. I'll be right there."
Do you have any sisters or brothers?
I have a brother. I have a younger brother. He lives in Florida, and So she came and we just kind of just, a lot of it after I found out was kind of like hazy. Like even when the radiologist started
Sure.
talking to me, I wasn't hearing everything, so I needed my mother there because
Sure. Shock.
yeah, I was in shock. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Who wants to believe something like that?
Right. And of course, you think the worst. I mean, you kind of have the worst, but you think in terms of prognosis, and you think, I guess, I think the worst no matter what, about everything.
No, I didn't think the worst. I couldn't digest the whole thing. I didn't understand any of it.
You didn't think at all.
No, I didn't think at all. I went into like co-pilot immediately. I think that I called my office and I told them what was going on, and then I went home and started making phone calls. And I went back to work the next day, and then a woman in the office told me that where I work, they paid a special amount for a cancer program that allowed me to go to Sloan Kettering. And I don't know all the logistics of it, but I called Sloan Kettering and I started getting the ball rolling to go into this to get everything done through them. And within 1 month I was in the hospital and I had surgery done. It all happened so fast. I couldn't blink. It was just so quick. What happened was I went to see the oncologist, Mary Gemignani from Sloan, brilliant woman. She was recommended to me. She told me that I had what's called HER2 positive, estrogen positive cancer, and that's an aggressive type of cancer. The good thing about this cancer, if there is a good thing about cancer, is that this cancer is treatable. 15 years ago, they came out with a medication called Herceptin, and Herceptin it's like they call it a designer drug that actually kills my particular type of cancer.
Wow.
One of the things we had to do stepping back was we had to decide whether I was going to have, what kind of surgery I was going to have. I could have had not necessarily a lumpectomy, but I would have had to have radiation and then a lumpectomy because the size of the tumor was almost 3 centimeters, which is pretty big. Yeah. It was right in the front of the breast. It was obvious.
And it was one tumor on one breast.
One tumor on one breast. However, there was calcification on the other breast.
What does that mean?
I'm not really sure. I just know that there was something growing that in the breast
Of concern.
That it wasn't cancer. And at the time, she said that I had the choice of either having a mastectomy, a bilateral mastectomy, or the radiation to reduce the tumor and to have a lumpectomy. And I can tell she was guiding me not towards the lumpectomy because of the size. And I had to do some feeling on my own. I have an 8-year-old son. The idea of doing a mastectomy made more sense.
Why?
Because I didn't want to have to revisit this.
Okay. Did you do a lot of reading and research on your own, or did you just went with she was your source of information?
No, I kind of stayed away from the internet because I was afraid that too much information for me
and
could be dangerous.
sources, you can get all kinds of bad. There's no filter of information.
Well, one of the things is that a lot of the people that go on, the people that are
bad experiences is what you're going to hear.
Exactly.
That's who's motivated to talk. If you have a good experience, everything's okay. You're sitting at home, you're with your kids, you're not on the internet freaking out. Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So what happened was I decided to have a double mastectomy, a bilateral mastectomy. And the second reason was my son's going to have a bar mitzvah when he's 13. He's 8 years old. What happens if I get a recurrence? What do I do then? And then I hear stories about every time women go to the doctor for another mammography, they're nervous that it's going to come back again. So with this, it's over with. I have reconstruction. It's like starting anew, and then I don't have to look back. When I did have
Takes a lot of courage.
Well, yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. It just kept putting one foot in front of the other.
But what is making a decision like that like?
It took me 2 weeks. It took me.
Do you just sit and list pros and cons? Do you just pray, or what do you do? How do you make? I guess it's all different for different people. You talk to your mom.
I think I don't know what I did.
I guess
I prayed a lot. I talked to friends.
And it becomes resolved within you to this is what you're going to do.
Well, the reason why I chose bilateral, truthfully, it was cosmetically. Initially, that was the reason. I didn't want to have one breast that looked this way and one breast that looked that way.
What does bilateral mean?
They remove both breasts. They take both breasts off.
Okay. So it's sort of a synonym for double mastectomy.
Correct.
Bilateral. It's just what
Exactly.
it's called. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.